Heyo, I'm Rachel and this is Missy and we're Miss Daisy Sewing. And would you believe it that it's the summer? Apparently. The glorious days of summer, eh? So today's project is bee inspired. As you can tell, we like our bees. We do no mow May. So in May we tend to have like our bee window, we call it, which is where this garland has come from. We recruited the help of our niece and nephew to make it. And I have a little cross stitch I also hang in the window, and we've got some bee plushies, that kind of thing. But this is not a project for me. It's actually for a very good family friend who has a significant birthday coming up later this year. And they are also obsessed with bees, like obsessed. So the plan is that we're going to upcycle this denim jacket here, because we love a good upcycling. So we've got this denim jacket here, which I know fits them. And we're going to then use a combination of this really cute honeycomb bee fabric that I've got, and also get the embroidery machine out. Ideally, I would like to have a sort of honeycomb and bee motif down the back, and then use the fabric for like the yoke around the cuffs, that kind of thing, just add a pop more colour. So let's just get straight to the embroidery machine, I suppose. So the first thing I actually do is convert the embroidery file into one my machine can read. This is also a really good time to look at the run order for the different colours of the stitches, just so that I can get the right part the right colour. I then like to do a test run of the embroidery file. Never assume it will actually work, especially with the free ones. The test run also showed that the original file was actually too large for my machine, and I couldn't scale it down on the machine, so I had to go back into the software to scale it down. You can't really leave the embroidery machines unattended, so here I am doing the ironing whilst that test piece is getting done. I also took the opportunity to have a look at the yellow fabric against the denim. I really want to do these welted pockets of the bumblebees and the top of the pockets on the front. Whilst I had originally intended to do the cuffs, I decided it would look almost a bit childish, bearing in mind this is for an adult. I decided to start on those top pockets, mostly because access was easier. And the first thing I did was seam rip out that top section that I decided I wanted covered, so just that top inch. For attaching the bee fabric to the pocket, you can see I originally start with it behind and I do a little running stitch to secure it on. I then flip over that bee fabric to the front and then neatly tuck in all of those raw edges before tacking it down and using a mattress stitch to get it nice and neat. By this point my test piece was done. I was able to have a look at the colours and I decided I wanted to swap around two of my yellows. So not only was I able to confirm the pattern was good, but I also got to do my colour test. Owing to the size of it, I decided I wanted to have two of these honeycomb pieces coming down the back, one slightly to the left and one slightly to the right to sort of come across diagonally. You can see here I'm taking great care to make sure that the coat is tucked out of the way and it's not going to accidentally get caught in the actual needle or the other mechanisms. And yes, the embroidery machine is sat on one of Missy's dog beds. This is just to help reduce the vibrations and the amount of noise it makes. So yeah, it's just my own personal hack. You can see here I then went full goblin mode on this project. I got impatient waiting for that stitching to finish, so on the side that was relatively free and easy to access, I got to work with getting that yellow on. It's times like this when I look back on myself sewing that I wonder why I don't have a sore back all the time. I'm going to call myself lucky there, but probably not the best to do this, guys. I absolutely love that bees are coming back in fashion again. They're so fun and colourful to work with. In the past I've made my sister a bee dress, and it was great fun just getting to revisit such a colourful colour palette again. The embroidery was finally done and I was able to snip off all those jump stitches and take my time and really tidy it up. I was really pleased with how the two sets of honeycomb turned out. the spacing worked really nice and it filled that gap without looking too cluttered. And then back to hand sewing, in a slightly less awkward position. What you can see me doing here is those welted pockets, and it was much the same process as the original pockets, but just narrower. And now for the yoke, you can see I'm really smoothing out that piece of fabric over that weird shape, and I'm using my ruler there to sort of try and feel out the stitching edge and then sketching out a really wide seam allowance. This then allows me to fold in those raw edges before I then pin everything in place and really take my time with my mattress stitching to get as nice and neat a finish as possible. I wanted to quickly discuss why I'm sharing this project. Yes, it's quite a simple one, it's nothing extravagant, I'm not making anything from scratch, but I wanted to share how easy it is to really give a piece of clothing a brand new life. I am in a privileged position with the embroidery machine, but even at that, just adding in that yellow bee fabric on the pockets and the yoke completely changed the look of this coat. And yeah, I just want to encourage more people to look at something and give it a bit of new life. And with that, we're all done. I'm really happy with the bright pop of colour that yellow honeycomb fabric adds, and also how the placement of the embroidery worked on the back underneath that yoke. It just brought it all together. Yeah, I'm unbelievably happy with how this turned out. I think it's bee-utiful, and yes, I will let myself out now. Until next time, bye!